Hey, what's up everyone? Justin here with Spikes and Gills. I've got here with me all the parts and pieces to the muddy quad two-person elevated 12-foot high tripod hunting stand. It's not a tree stand because it doesn't require any trees to set up or to sit in and hunt out of. We've got the ladder here, the platform, shooting railing, the seats. I carried bits and pieces of this, a couple hundred yards to the location where I want to set it up. I drove in as far as I could. Now this stand is super heavy. It requires 3 people to hoist it up, to walk it up like a ladder and set up. Do not attempt lifting this stand up into position by yourself. You want to have at least one other strong person. You want to have minimally 2 strong people walking it up, set up in place, but definitely 3 just to play it safe so you don't get injured or, heaven forbid, get killed. But yeah, I'm by myself today, but right now before I head to lunch, it's like 12:30 right now, 80 degrees. The deer are bedded. There's no deer in the food plot out here in front of me, and it's super hot midday. Deer are in the deep, dark, cool parts of the forest. They're down in the lowlands near the streams and ponds and river, and they're bedded in those cool areas, or they're feeding and drinking, doing whatever in those deeper, cooler, darker parts of the forest. There's no deer out near me right here, right now. So that's good. That's why I chose this time and day, being super hot, to get all this gear in here. That's why I chose today. I'm dripping sweat. I'm just getting all the parts and pieces in place. I'm going to assemble the stand by myself, but then I'm going to get my wife and son to help me walk it up into position. The stand, this muddy quad 2-person tripod hunting stand is going to be set up right here behind me in this dark shadowy area. It's leveler ground. Right out here is super hilly. You want to try to pick the most level ground possible and setting it up. And that's this spot here. I got a clearing and opening in the dark shadowy area. Lots of tree cover around it to keep the direct sunlight off of it. It does say in the instructions to try to keep it out of direct sunlight, long-term exposure of sunlight and long-term exposure of inclement weather, so it prolongs the life of the stand, so it lasts longer for years to come. So I got a food plot out here. I call the Narrows right here, out here in front of me. I've got big old wide open field over here, and bedding, deer bedding that way, more food plots out that way. Just a superb area to set this muddy quad 2-person tripod hunting stand up. And it's going to be set up right back here in the dark shadows. It'll be well hidden back here. Lots of shade and cover. Lots of trees around me to help break up the outline and silhouette of that stand, and also break up the outline silhouette of the quad shelter. I'm going to order the blind that goes on it. It's not included in this box, but you can order a full enclosure, the quad enclosure that's compatible with this muddy hunting stand, and you can put that up, and that all will be hidden very well amongst these trees. These trees will help break up the outline silhouette of that so the deer don't see it, so they don't spook. And me and my son will stay hidden and in there very well. And we're 20 yards off of the food plot out here, and so come youth day, my son Bryson should be able to put the hammer down on a nice big plump doe or a buck, any nice young buck coming through. That would be real cool. Right on. Cool. I was wondering what I was hearing. It's my truck. You can hear my truck. I left my truck running with the air conditioner going. It's in the 80s. It's freaking hot. I'm dripping sweat. Still got more bits and pieces to go get out of the bed of the truck for the stand before I go get lunch. And then I'm going to come back and assemble all this, put it together. Alrighty. Alright everyone, as you see here, I've got the platform put together for that muddy quad 2-person hunting stand. And as you see, there's a middle piece with 2 exact same edges. And you got one outer piece with it's pretty much, as you see here, it's plain to see what piece goes where. You've got an angle up here for the ladder. This ladder I got right here leaning up against the tree is going to be here on this part of the platform. So that's what she looks like. There's all of these non-metal washers and the nylon like nuts. You need 8 to attach all 3 pieces of the platform. And then these are shooting rail supports with sleeves. The supports have to be angled as such. The ladder goes there. You need these slidey sleeve things facing in towards the middle of the platform. And then you got these extra supports that are angled in towards middle of the platform, not out. But the holes, there's no hole here. The holes all match up for you and kind of make it foolproof and easy for you to figure out what goes where. But the instructions are very thorough and very easy to read. So there you go. So there's the platform of the Muddy Quad 2-person hunting stand. And now what I'm getting ready to put together is the shooting rail. Here I've got the male and female ends of the outer edge of the shooting rail, and then a middle support, middle connector. It's called the connector in the instructions. So we have a straight edge connector connected to the male and female ends of the outer part of the shooting rail. I got a connector here that I got to put on over there, and then I'll be bolting these down. The shooting rail is going to be connected to these holes right here. See there? So that one lines up there. That one lines up there. And then likewise on the other side. So the shooting rail will be connected to these uprights here, upright supports on the platform. And the holes, they line up perfectly. They'll be bolted down here in a minute. I'll show you that here shortly. Show you what that looks like now. Alright guys, so here I've got the bolts and the shooting rail attaching to the uprights I just put together on the platform. One thing that I want to share with you, see, at first I thought I had the wrong connector. I'm going to take that out. Don't worry about that. I'll get that later. Let's get another bolt. Just get another bolt. Oops. Alright. Okay, so what I'm trying to show you is, see, if you look, the shooting rail, the holes aren't lining up. At first I thought I had the wrong size connector, which is right here. It's this middle piece that connects the curved parts of the rail. I was looking at this and I'm like, oh shoot, this isn't the right length connector. Did they even give me the right part? So this is one thing the instructions actually don't tell you about when putting the shooting rail on your quad, is you can use your leg or your hand. It's best to use probably your knee of your leg and push on this upright. It needs to bend outward. See? And then the holes line up perfect. And then you can put your bolt through. Yep. See, the holes don't line up now. But if you take your knee of your leg, or your leg, bend and push on the upright, just kind of bend it out a little bit, it's going to line up your holes perfectly. And then you can put your bolt through. And voila. Alright everyone, so here's the instructions for the Muddy Quad 2-person hunting stand. And I'm putting together right now this section, the shooting rail. And what I've noticed with the bolts and nuts and washers is this will, in the instructions, it will tell you like a 1/4 inch by 2-inch hex bolt, letter D. Then you go back here in the beginning, which has your diagram of all your washers and nuts and bolts, what they look like, and gives you your letter coordination, tell you what letter goes with what bolt. What I've noticed is some of the pictures of the bolts, they match up with what's in the box, but then I'll go to put it on the stand. Like, see here, I've got a completely different bolt in here that makes more sense to me, attaching the shooting rail to this upright. That the picture diagram was saying use a bolt that looks like this, but it was way too long. Look how much more it sticks out. Stuck out a whole another inch. Just didn't make sense. The length on what they were telling me in the description and showing me in the picture didn't make sense. So also, one very important thing that you must know when matching up your bolts, the right bolts to your muddy quad hunting stand, is these bolts, they actually, the picture of these bolts, they're the actual length. They're the exact length here in the instructions in the picture of the bolts in the box. The shooting rail called for letter D bolts, these 1/4 inch by 2 inch hex bolts, letter D, and it shows half of the bolt without any thread. But the ones that actually fit are full threaded bolt, but it matches up to the length. It's the exact length of letter D, and it's the only one, the only bolt in the box that's the exact length to letter D. But see, the bolts are different, so you just gotta keep an eye on that. That's just something you must know when putting this together. Don't go using a bolt that's way too long. It's 1 inch or 2 inches long. It's gonna stick out and look very awkward, and also create a scratching and create a hazard for like hanging up on your clothes or cutting you as you brush by. Another thing too, when putting your muddy quad stand together, don't have any bolts sticking in towards the platform. Have all bolts pointing outside, so you don't have a sharp pointy edge sticking in, so you don't have a hazard inside the blind, so you don't get snagged up on your clothes or on your arm and cut yourself up on the bolt. So yeah, remember that. All right, everyone. So in your paper instructions for the muddy quad 2-person hunting stand, it tells you tools needed, 2 adjustable wrenches, but those will slow down your process immensely. Using adjustable wrenches will make assembling this muddy quad stand take much longer. So I suggest you use 1/2 inch wrenches. You need a 1/2 inch socket. Use a 1/2 inch socket, 1/2 inch wrench. It makes putting the nuts on the bolts so much faster. It's going to assemble that stand for you much quicker. So 1/2 inch socket, 1/2 inch wrench. And also you'll need the 7/16. This is actually you'll need 7/16 wrench, 2 of them. There you have it. So 2 7/16 wrenches and a 1/2 inch socket, 1/2 inch wrench. And that's going to make assembling this muddy quad hunting stand much quicker rather than using the 2 adjustable wrenches that the instructions actually tell you to use. So that's just a tip for you when purchasing this muddy quad and putting it together. All right, so there you have it. All right, one thing I haven't found in the instructions for the muddy quad is how tight to go on your nuts with these. I've noticed that it gets pretty snug and tight just as you start to pinch the non-metal washers and just start to bend the metal on the poles. So tighten your nut up until you just start to see it dig into and pinch your washer, and a real slight bend to the pole. And I've noticed then super tight, snug, and you can't budge it. So that you're not going to find that little tidbit of information in the instructions. But that's all just from trial and error and from learning as you go. Hey everyone, so there you have it. The muddy quad 2-person hunting stand platform and shooting rail all assembled. The next step, as the instructions say, is to assemble the 2 chairs. The 2 comfortable swivel chairs. Here are the bases for the 2 swivel chairs. And there's the chairs all folded up. They look like really nice chairs. They got padded arm rests and railings. They look super comfortable, and they swivel 360 degrees. Real strong, durable base. And the bases can be screwed in a couple different places on the platform. You can see the holes. So I could put a chair there. One could go there. And one there, or one over there. There's no place for one right here for some reason. I'm not sure why. Huh. But I'm not sure why there's... The ladder goes there. So I'm probably going to put one chair here. One's going to go there. And one over there. Alright. Alright everyone, so the platform's together on the muddy quad. Now I'm assembling the seats, or chairs if you will, for the platform. It has a support bar in the back, the top back of the chair. And the ends of this bar, they're curved slightly. As you see here. Here they're straight. As you tighten down the bolts and nuts, it's going to pull that in flat. Now, you don't want to tighten one down before the other. You want to go in even increments. So do like 10 turns on this nut and go to do 10 on the upper. Tighten it down evenly on bottom and upper part of this end of the support bar in the back of the chair. And they'll come in nice and easy. Don't over tighten. Just pull it in flat so that this end of the bar is flush with the side of the chair. Now when putting in this bar, it was easiest to put in... Oh here, let me go get the other bar so I can show you. Let's just get the other bar. This will be 10 times easier to explain and show. But I started out putting this bar in the top back of the muddy chair. But easiest to put this back bar in the upper top part of the chair by starting it out like this. Put in your 2 bolts and nuts in the top holes of the ends of the bar, and then rotate it down to line up the bottom holes of the bar. Put in those bolts, and then tighten down your nuts and bolts evenly. Do like 10 turns on the nut here, and then 10 turns here, 10 turns here, 10 turns. Just tighten them down evenly all the way across until the curved part of the end of the bar comes flush with the side and edge of your chair. So there you have it. Alright everyone, so here I'm putting the bases on the chairs for this muddy quad 2-person stand. And I've got bolts in on the sides here. It's conveniently labeled with rear, so you know the back, which end of the base is the back side on the chair here. So that would be where the back side of your butt would be sitting. That's the back of the chair. The rear of the base goes there. Now what I did to make this much easier, it actually suggests this in the instructions, is you put the base of the chair like this, line up these holes first, which makes it much easier. So get your bolts and nuts and washers on these 2 holes, and then you rotate the base down to line up the other 2 holes. That just makes it much easier to assemble the base of the chairs. So there you have it. Hey everyone, what's up? I just wanted to show you something extremely important when putting together your chair here for the muddy quad 2-person hunting stand. I almost forgot this actually. Do not forget these fancy little spacers here that you put between the railing, the armrest of your chair, and the bait in the metal frame of the chair. You want to put these thick orange spacers right there, right between the metal frame and the metal part of the armrest of the chair. That's going to silence that part of that chair so there's no creaking, as it get some surface rust, or over the years of use, you won't get metal to metal contact and make all that loud creaking noise and spook game. So you want that non-spooking soundproof spacer right there. Yeah, definitely don't forget those. I almost did. All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? All right. So there I've got the two muddy seats all put together. Now I'm getting the base plates. They look like, should have, oh, anyway, they're already up. I only got two. Okay, so now I'm putting the base support for the bottom of the muddy chair and the base plate on the platform. And as you see, I've got the shooting platform on its side. In the instructions, it shows the platform down on its bottom, flat on the ground. It doesn't show or tell you this trick to put it on its side to make it 10 times easier to get the bolts and nuts and washers on the base plate and the bottom of the chair. Don't forget your orange washers in between the metals. You want to make sure, oh, I put them in the wrong spot. That one's already tightened. Uh-oh. Oh well. It is what it is at this point. But anyways, yeah, see, I screwed up right here, guys, but I'm going to go with it. At this point, they're already tightened down. See, this is wrong. This is a good example for you all. This is wrong. Them orange spacers should be between the metal platform and the bottom of the metal base to help silence that. But I do have the washers in between the base plate and the metal frame of the shooting platform. That just helps silence that so you don't get metal to metal rubbing, so it doesn't creak and all that stuff. Oh, that stinks that I put those washers. Uh-oh. Yeah. See, I started to do it wrong right there on that one. I'm going to change that around before it's too late. So there you have it. So that's a trick that the instructions don't tell you to make it easier and more simple to get the base plate and the bottom base of the chair put together. Have the platform on its side. There you have it. Well, there you have it, guys. The two muddy chairs attached to the muddy quad two-person hunting stand. I just attached the base plate to the bottom of the support for those chairs. And here's what they look like on the platform. You can spread them out differently than that. But I'm going to have my 9-year-old son hunting out of this with me. And so my son will be sitting in the front chair. And I can sit back here with the camera. And we got plenty of room here. I could run a tripod with my camera. Or hold the camera by hand, obviously. But these swivel 360 degrees. Yeah, very cool, huh? They swivel and they're quiet, so you don't even hear. Listen, you can't even hear them. Yeah, they're pretty quiet. So those chairs swivel and they're silent. The ladder is going to be attached there, and then the base, the legs, and the supports for the legs. So I'm going to move this, the base of this stand, up further. I want it back in there in the shadows. Back in there among the trees. So I need to, it's 12 feet high. And right now I'm about 12 feet away from them trees right there. So I need to move this base up more and attach my legs and supports. Because this is going to be lifted with the help of my wife and son. Well, I just told you that my son was 9 years old. So this is going to be lifted with the help of my wife. I think the two of us can do it. You should use 2 other guys, but if you got 2 real strong people, you should be able to handle it. You're going to walk it up like a ladder. Stand it up very carefully and walk it up until it's in place. And that's where it's going to be, right there. And we'll be watching the food plot here and the narrows right here and all that field out that way. Yeah, so there you have it. So I've got the upper part of the 3 legs all secure. Got the bottom parts. I got these 2 bolts up here secure. What I noticed that I want to show you, it's pretty neat. There's a hexagonal hole shape into the leg right here. What I wanted to show you, which actually I think is pretty neat, it's an added safety feature of the legs of this muddy quad stand. It's got a hexagonal shape etched into the legs, so that nut cannot slip out. That nut will not come loose and back out of these bolts. And that it's got that on both sides, on both bolts, on all three legs. And I imagine it's on the ladder too. And that way, that just gives you the peace of mind and knowing that these nuts will not back out of these bolts and these legs won't come loose and fall off and the stand won't tip over on you. So that's really neat. That's a neat added safety feature of this stand, of the muddy quad. All right, there you go. So here I've got all four legs, and actually it's 3 legs. All right, everyone, so here I've got all 3 legs and the ladder attached to this muddy quad 2-person stand. Right now I'm attaching the support beams, or rods if you will. There's a bunch down there. What I need to do is attach the female support beams first. Need to put 2 on each leg. So 2 get attached right there. And 2 more over here on this leg. And I got to put 2 here on the ladder, 1 here, and 1 here. As you see, the weight of this rod wants to pull that screw right out. So a little tip for you. So hoist it up, hold it on the shoulder. I'm holding it on my shoulder to support it, to keep it level as I tighten it with my 7/16 wrench. All right, so there you have it. There she is, everybody. The muddy quad 2-person hunting stand, all assembled, all minus 2 bolts. I need to get something very strong to hold this up. I need to stretch it out with something so I can get these last 2 supports here and over here, so I can get them lined up with the holes and get them bolted down. So there's 2 bolts I couldn't put in by myself without some assist, either without another person or something that I can wedge under the ladder and under that leg over there to stretch it out so I can line up the holes. So keep that in mind. It does require like 3 people to walk this up like a ladder to stand it upright. Do not attempt this by yourself. This thing is heavy. With these seats and the bases holding the seats up and that shooting rail and everything, that makes that super heavy. If you attempt to lift this up by yourself to get it standing, you will hurt yourself and it could result in death. So just keep that all in mind. So yeah, I'm going to have my wife and son help me lift this up. And while they're here, I could have my wife hold the ladder up and hold that leg up over there for me to stretch it out so I can line up these last 2 support beams and get them bolted in before we hoist her up. These supports here, the extra supports for the ladder, they're short pieces. I didn't notice this at first. I put them on backwards, and I had this piece here put in on the inside, and this piece was on the opposite side over here, and this piece was over here, and they didn't line up right with these holes on the ladder. So you got to keep that in mind. You got to watch out for that. Put these short extra supports for the ladder, attach them to the outside of the stand, and you got to watch the angle piece here. This piece that attaches to the side of the ladder, they're bent slightly, and they're bent in the right direction to fit, to accommodate the hole and the alignment of that hole on that ladder. So you got to keep all that in mind. So there you go. I need to get some help. I definitely need help to pick this up so I can get it standing up. Now, these aren't included in the package, but the feet on these have holes for stakes or pegs for anchors. Yeah, there's holes in here for some stakes or anchors to help anchor the stand down, give it much more stability so it will not tip over on you, especially in high winds. It actually advises in the instructions not to hunt out of this in extreme high windy conditions. Actually, all tree stands are not good to hunt out of during windy conditions. But I'm going to anchor the feet down with some sort of stake. I'll have to purchase them separately. And I'm also going to take a ratchet strap and strap the legs and ladder to this tree here. That's another thing you can do for extra stability and security. You can ratchet strap the legs to trees, anchor the feet down, all that sort of stuff, just for extra stability and sturdiness so it doesn't blow over or fall over on you, for safety. So there she be, the muddy quad. Over and out.